Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have Eric Morgan from Rue Advertising down in good old New Orleans, where we're going to be holding our 15th summit, believe it or not, Eric.
Wow.
15 years doing this stuff. And Eric is the founder and president of Rue Advertising, does a full service agency, and he's going to be speaking at our summit. And I was talking to him before we got on here, and he's going to talk about questions everybody always asks me. You know, how much money will it take to get? Should I go on TV? Should I go on radio? Should I do billboards, bus boards? How much does it take? You know, I don't want to waste my money, but I want to get cases. So he's going to talk about that. So I'm excited to hear that, Eric. I really am.
No, it's great. I'm excited to talk about it. It's kind of the heart of what we do, my career, my life in the marketing advertising world. So it's going to be a fun topic.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you today, though. I just got off a Q&A with my Pilma. I do one every month, and we have right many lawyers get on it. It seems like it, like today we spent, out of 45 minutes, we spent 30 minutes talking about social media, and a lot of lawyers complaining, I just don't see getting any traction. I tried it this way. I went to this event. I watched this guy who's a celebrity, and he's getting all these, he's like, and I just can't do that. So I guess my first question is it worth doing social media? And if so, what should you be doing? I mean, what kind of things should you be putting on there? And where should you put it?
So, one, thanks a lot. I appreciate the opportunity to chat a little bit and hopefully answer some questions, shed a little bit of light on this, because that is obviously a burning question. And there's a lot more burning questions that clients, marketers have, and not just in legal, because we have some other verticals that we're in. And it's a common question. So one, don't feel crazy or concerned because you have that question. You are not alone. The lawyers are not alone. When I hear you say, or somebody say something along the lines of, I'm not getting the traction, all right? My question is, and look, my background, I'm an analytics guy. I'm a media planner buyer. I'm a numbers, I'm flow charts and pivot tables and ROI. So my question is, if you're not getting traction, my knee-jerk reaction is, what traction did you expect to get? Okay, because you sure should have had a game plan on what that ROI was going to look like before you even entered it. It's like anything else. I mean, you buy a car, you expect to get something out of it, whether it's a feeling or fuel economy or what have you. This is no different. OTT is no different. LSA is no different. You name it. So my question would be, what were you expecting traction to look like? And that, I think, is the biggest issue that a lot of people don't grasp, really. They get in this keep up with the Joneses, somebody else is doing it, so I should probably do it. And it's not part of this social, part of their bigger strategy. So I don't want to berate that kind of conversation, but that's where I think if those conversations take place up front and have a real understanding of what the value is, the role it's going to play, what the ROI is going to be, then it's easier to comprehend. So yes, that's the blanket statement, and that applies to everything. And I'm just
so like for Pilma, we do a lot more social media. I don't really like it, but I feel like we got to do it. But my goal is, I don't even care how many likes I get and all that. I would like some comments, and I would like some shares. But my purpose in doing the social media, the organic, is just to get people to know me, like me, and trust me, and humanize myself to where, it's pretty good. That's what he's talking about. He seems nice. He seems sincere. He seems authentic. I'm just trying to get out there and be in front of them. Top of mind awareness. I mean, is that what lawyers should be doing or not? I don't know.
That is absolutely part of it. Hands down. It's a free tool. I know that there's some energy that needs to go into it, and you got to create the content, you got to devote the time and energy to it. Absolutely. But that's one of the roles. I mean, when you think about, and I'm marketing term, decision-making funnel, the process that people go through, there's Awareness, because a lot of people don't know your brand, don't know the law firm brand, especially if you're rolling into a new market. So there's an awareness level at the top of this funnel, and then there's the conversion at the bottom of this funnel. And the goal is to understand, what do people know about me? What about my brand? What do we want them to know? And how can I use this free tool as a way to engage and interact and share what my firm's purpose is, what the values are, or my involvement in the community? And so it's just that. It's, it's not buying a billboard, because that's a different role and a different strategy that's driving that particular tactic. So yeah, what you're doing is correct. You should actually look at it and go, here's another platform that I can speak to, that I can share my words with, that I can engage people with. And now the upside, obviously, is you get some clicks, you get some followers, you get some shares, you get some interaction and engagement, and that's what you want. And so as you say, this is the role it's going to play, you then have to come up with this content strategy, this angle that says, I'm going to try these things and see what kind of reaction I get. Do I get more likes? Do I get some shares? Do I get some comments? Or I'm going to try this kind of particular content, whether it's talking about staff or wins or community involvement or just seasonal tips about, hey, summer's kicking in a little while, or spring's going on, it's weather. I know you want to roll down the windows and be distracted while, listen to music while you're driving because the weather's getting nice in a few months. But please, hands on the wheel, eyes forward, those kind of things. If you craft different pieces of content and different paths, then you can see how different groups and segments of people are going to react accordingly. And that's what you want. It's like playing with a recipe. You want to dabble in a few things, add this, add that, and then see what kind of reaction you can get. It is a two-way street. It's something that's alive, breathing, that you can actually use as a learning tool to say, wow, I did this, and I got this kind of reaction out of a group of people.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about it, and this was just my observation. And listen, I'm far from an expert on this part. This came after I quit practicing law, but I'm still using social media now, much to my chagrin, I must say. It's a time suck for me. But I look back at all the stuff, and it seemed like the ones that I got the most interaction in was, believe it or not, my damn pug at Christmas time. And I call it news jacket. It's when I comment on something that's going on in the news and put my angle on it. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe ask, what do you think? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm almost like a call to action at the end of it,
And we do see that where we've got one client where, the engagement is highest when the actual partners are portrayed in the content, but in a less, not in a professional capacity, maybe in their personal, or maybe when they're involved in a community organization, or they're involved in a charity event. The engagement there just skyrockets, and it's amazing. And so then when we look at the analytics and go, wow, that works great, then we say, we want more of that. And so we build on that and try and get more momentum. And so for everybody, every audience, every market, every brand, regardless of the category, this being obviously legal, it's going to differ. And that's part of it. It's like fishing. You got to get out there on a boat and figure out what bait, what tides are going to be right, what the wind direction, and so forth. And that's part of it, because this is a living and breathing. This is not, and we do a lot of it, but this is not, TV buying, put up a billboard and kind of adjust what you can, because a billboard, you can move it around from location to location, creative, change it every few weeks or what have you. This is something you can adjust in real time, daily, and see the results. So it's definitely, and I'm not even talking about individual platforms, because when you start talking about, Instagram versus Facebook versus TikTok, that even multiplies the conversation, which can be overwhelming, honestly. And that's a big challenge. Not only for us, I mean, it is, because we've got to run these things, but clients can be overwhelmed, because what next? What other platform am I going to need to be on? I got to be on LinkedIn in the professional capacity. I got to be on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. So we tell everybody just to, take a step back from the ledge. Let's figure out what we want to accomplish and what's that one platform that makes the most sense. I always said, I've been around pre-digital, pre-internet world. That's how long I've been around. Even back then, it was if you're going to do one tactic, do it exceptionally well. Then move on to the second one. Don't spread yourself too thin. So if you feel that your strategy would be complemented and supported by TikTok, great. Go all in on TikTok. Let's do it and do it well. If it's Facebook, great. Go all in on Facebook, do it well, and then move on. But the idea is to know that audience, understand what you possibly could get out of them from that platform, and build creative around it. And look, the fun part is that this creative exercise is that, to a degree, there is a level of science to it, but part of it is also throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it's going to stick, because you have to experiment. You have to devote a portion of what you're doing to experimentation. That's the only way. It's like whether you're working out, whatever it is, you've got to push the boundary a little bit and go, how far can I go to get me to that next level? Whether that's more engagement, more likes, more shares, more interactions, more followers. So yeah, definitely experiment with it.
Yeah, it's like I was on a vacation and I was in Scotland back in September, and I did a lot of stuff because, I was just showing stuff around. I'd never been to Europe, so it was a big deal to me. But I was at this restaurant and I asked for a Jack and Diet Coke, and they bring me the glass with the liquor and the ice in it, and then they bring me a Coke on the side, or a Diet Coke. And I told my wife, I'd give her the cash. I said, just videotape this. I'd had a few drinks. And I said, this is how you make a Jack and Diet Coke in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I said, first you take this, you do this. That thing exploded, and it was nothing. And it was almost like a joke. I mean, it was just me playing.
And then they want to see the personal side of your life in that case. They want to see what you're doing outside the office and how relatable you are. Because it's wow, that's interesting. I've never been to Scotland. I'd love to go there. That would be kind of cool. And then now I'm like, well, I want to have that kind of service to, So yeah, that's what makes sense. And part of it is paying attention, because you can post and post and post and put out there, but you got to learn from it. You've got to learn from it. I mean, that's the power of what we have at our fingertips with some of these platforms and some of these tools, is that you can take away so much from it and understand what's going on. Now, I would also ask, because, you started this conversation about somebody saying, I'm not getting the traction that I want, right? You want to get the traction, and you want to know how to get the traction. Every day you have your clients walking through your front door of your law firm, ask them, talk to them, get to know them from a personal standpoint. Understand what their Scotland story is, so that way you can then go, here's how I can connect with them on a more meaningful basis. Because people, the firm's clients, they want to see other people like them. They want to see stuff that's relatable, that's helpful, that scratches an itch in their life, whatever that need may be. And so if you're sitting down with a client one-on-one, your associates are sitting down with people, your paralegal is sitting down with people, learn from them. I mean, just absorb as much as possible. That's your focus group. I mean, that's your little, kind of look through the window, to see what they're like, what makes them tick, and then grab that information and use that as a basis for what content you want to put out there. And then go, wow, this is great. We studied these people. They came through. We learned a lot about them and personal habits and so forth. And we mimic content around that, and look what it did in terms of the ROI. We're getting more traction. We're getting more engagement. We're getting people following us or sharing.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I have a marketing meeting every month with Pillman, and we have KPIs, and I tell them, you got to figure out, like you said to begin with, what is the purpose? What is your purpose for doing this? Is it to get new members for Pillman, or is it just to brand awareness, to get people to, like you said, in the funnel that didn't know about us, to know about us and see us enough times that they begin to know us, like us, and trust us.
Yeah, and don't take it at face value sometimes, meaning, if they're liking your video because you're in Edinburgh, Scotland, it could be as simple as, wow, that's how they do it over there. That's how they serve the cocktail over there. but look deeper. I mean, try and figure out why, because you don't want to get in the habit of, oh, I'm just going to shoot a bunch of videos where, different people are serving me my drinks, whenever I go out. But what is it about that content? Why? I mean, there's a deeper meaning. And, I know people use social media to pass time and so forth and kill it and whatever. They sometimes want to watch the train wreck happen. But there's also a bigger role that they're looking for something to play, and your brand can play a bigger role in their lives and how they get throughout their day, what decisions they make, how they're influenced. That's at the heart of what you want. Because when you can figure that out, that, using a consumer good, but like somebody buys a certain toothpaste, not because they like the packaging, because they like the way the aftertaste is, for instance, it's understanding the deeper, not because it's on sale, but because it has this benefit or what have you. That's what marketing is about, is trying to figure that out, solve that problem. So that way you can then replicate it and then shout that to everybody through all the platforms you have, and then hopefully gather more following and more awareness.
So do you recommend boosting posts if they reach a certain, like if they look like they're starting to grade a little bit of traction?
Yes.
10,
yeah.
$20?
I definitely would say boost posts, because I think that's a way for you to one, this is going to sound awkward, but reward the things that are working well. So you've got to invest in them, obviously. But two, also at a certain point, you just need, from a brand standpoint, you just need just some sheer investment, and 10, 20, 40 bucks, put $100 a month, whatever the number is. But you need some investment to kind of accelerate that process to a degree. It's fine and dandy if it's organic, but unless you're, spreading like wildfire, the organic can take a little while. And so you might have a strategy that has, some deadlines that you want to accomplish some things, and paid is going to have to happen. And it doesn't need to be an enormous amount. We're not talking broadcast television dollars here. We're talking, a small budget. And when you think about the money that goes into your firm to run your firm and the staff and overhead and all that fun stuff, it's a rounding error for what we're asking, a couple $100, $10, $20 behind a post over the course of a month, couple $100. Yes, do it. But also, again, learn from it, experiment with it. You're boosting at certain times of the day, durations, times of the month. Does it impact anything? Seasonalities. How did my boost with this kind of content versus that kind of content work?
How about YouTube Shorts? Are you seeing any of your clients doing well with that?
Yeah, YouTube is a fantastic platform, and that even leads into, we have a lot of people that want to go OTT, online streaming and so forth, and that's kind of a sticky thing, for a couple of reasons in terms of the ROI, but we definitely would say use YouTube platform. It's a fantastic platform. The ROI is there. It's affordable, it's scalable, it's targetable. So definitely explore it. And so then, everything I say is like, but a step before you get there is that you got to make sure you got the right content for that. So, if you're running YouTube shorts, videos, when you're producing your broadcast television, or if you're just producing video in general to run on your website or what have you, make sure you have that already sketched out, concepted out, so that way the production standpoint can produce that for anything you want to do on YouTube. Because I'm not saying go, produce some video content just for that, because that's, cost, requires a lot of investment. But when you're going to do a bucket of video, make sure you're accomplishing everything you want, getting all the pieces you want for all the different tactics you want, YouTube being one of them. Absolutely. Start there. And, obviously it's part of the Google system. So it's a natural step. If you're doing search, it's a natural step there. It's great for branding. It's great for the personal injury clientele. It has great reach. The ROI is there. The analytics is there. So it makes complete sense. But you got to also on the back end, make sure that whenever somebody clicks or wants to find you, that your landing pages are in check. The content is seamless, from the type of content short that they're seeing to the landing page. Keep that conversation consistent, have continuity there. So that way you can kind of, carry on the conversation so that you don't lose them. You don't want it to be disjointed. So messaging, landing page, that all needs to be this seamless.
So
line.
which one? Because there's different way, and I don't know all of them to be honest with you, Eric. But there's 2 or 3 different. Like there's one like I see this too when I'm on YouTube. Like so, you can skip this ad in 5 seconds and get out of it. Then there's some where it just comes on. I got one yesterday. I got a flash on ESPN about the Duke player's leg being hurt. So I wanted to see what this said. Right, first thing they do, I got the Geico reptile guy there, and it's a 15-second, but I can't skip it. I've got to stay there with it and wait until we get through before I can watch what I really wanted to watch. And so that's different, right?
Yeah. There's some different ways of getting in front of them. And truth be told, I'd have to get somebody on my staff to get into the details of all that. But there's different ways. And some of it is just an easy self-serve, within the Google ad system. Some of it is a bigger, larger buy. Obviously, if you're going to have the ability to say you cannot skip this ad, you're going to pay a price premium. There's going to be some pros and cons to it, but definitely price being the biggest issue because you're paying for a captured audience, which fine.
Yeah. See, in my mind, I would like the one where you skip, because even if they skip it, I still got 5 seconds in front of them, right? 3 or 4 seconds in front of them. And that's free. That's free because they don't charge you. The way I've been told, I don't know. I've been told they don't charge you if they skip it.
Yeah, if they want to skip it, that comes into play. But that just puts more emphasis on you've got to make that first 5 seconds. I mean, their attention spans these days are so short. And yes, we're talking several seconds, that you got to make sure that your message gets conveyed in those first few seconds, because you can take advantage of that before they hit that skip button. And that's jump right into it, from a creative standpoint, take as much advantage as you can. And that's the problem with some of these platforms and ultimately some of the creative is that people are like, oh, well, let me just ramble and talk. No, get in. There are ads. We can buy ads for 6 seconds. You can only say 6 seconds worth of stuff. You've got to get in, provide your unique selling proposition, your USP, your value, and then your call to action and move on. You got to do that in 6 seconds. So it's a nice feature that you can get that across before they hit the skip button. But creatively, from a brand standpoint, that's where it's do I know what I want to say? And am I going to say it effectively in those few seconds?
Got you. So anything I did not ask you about this social media stuff? I mean, I thought there were some great takeaways there about, what is your purpose?
Yep.
What do you mean by traction? I mean,
One thing we're running into these days is where a law firm with multiple offices has multiple social media profiles, meaning they might have one for Boise and then, Idaho Falls and so forth. And because an office manager opened up a new office. So they said, well, let me go create our own Facebook page, which not entirely wrong, but it definitely adds a level of complexity to it, especially it's not wrong, especially if the markets are completely different. You might say Pensacola versus Tallahassee, but write some sort of a structure or guidelines on which one should actually, which one should drive what the brand is about, which one should be driving what the community involvement and the community engagement should be about. So that way it's a very clear understanding that there's one main profile, Facebook profile for the law firm brand, and this is all about the firm and information, wins and so forth. And it's okay if you have a sub-market because there's a satellite office or what have you, but that's more about community. That's their involvement because that's where you want to have that real local touch point. You've got firms that have multiple locations around a state and you want to connect with them. You don't want, the one that's talking from Buffalo, New York about an event or a festival and that's showing up in, Manhattan, for instance. So come up with a game plan on what that structure should be and some guidelines. It's helpful. It's painful at first, trying to determine where the line in the sand is, but it's incredibly helpful because then you understand what roles each one of these profiles play, not unlike what the role of Facebook versus Twitter versus Instagram versus Twitter is going to be.
Yeah. Well, good deal, man. I'm glad I needed you about an hour ago to be on my Q&A with my lawyers in Pilma. But
anytime.
if somebody wants to get up, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in May. I think it's May the 14th through the 16th in New Orleans at the
We're at the Roosevelt.
What's that? Roosevelt Hotel. We've moved hotels.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hotel.
Yeah. And those that don't know it, that's where you live, right?
I'm in New Orleans. We are. I'm born and raised New Orleans. Yeah. You couldn't drag me out of here. So we're excited. I'm glad you all are coming back. Love it being here locally. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. Amazing food, amazing weather. A lot going on in May. Weather's fairly decent still. It's August that gets ugly with the heat and the humidity.
Right.
But no, excited. Yeah, I'm talking on that first day. I think it was about affording TV, radio, billboards, the whole lot. So I got a lot of good content that I'm going to share with everybody.
Oh, great. So if somebody wants to get up with you before then, Eric, what's the best way to do that?
Online, ruadvertising.com, ROUX, Eric at ruadvertising.com. And we're on, all the usual social media platforms.
Absolutely.
Google Rue Advertising. Get our purple logo.
There you go, man. So thank you so much for the day. I know you were telling me earlier you got a lot going on, so I want to let you go. And I will see you in May, my friend.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Until the next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.